Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillah wa rabbil alameen. Salatu salam ala rasulillahi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Halim wa salam bikum. To my Fuba community, Anjarama as-salam, Jautali, Alhamdulillah, Jamwali. My brothers and sisters today, this is a special topic which is in the news uh, about President Trump threatening our beloved brothers and sisters there in Nigeria. And this is a serious matter on many takes. A lot of our Nigerian brothers and sisters have weighed in on this. Sheikh Gumi, the esteemed scholar, and Baba has weighed in on this as well. And it's a plethora of outside comments outside of Nigeria. To be honest with you, all of Africa, English, of course, Africa, with the name that the Tuareg gave us, should be up in arms over this. And it would be one thing if the United States was threatened. And it'd be another thing if he had his information correct, which he does not have. There was a African-American brother, he just started coming back on YouTube. He was given his spiel about Burkina Faso and about one of our esteemed sisters who he's kind of run afoul with. He's got many thousands of subscribers. He gets 20,000, 30,000, sometimes up to 100,000 views on his programs. And he was making comments which made me feel uncomfortable. He kept talking about the State Department, how they were doing this and saying this. Well, this, I was going to write in there, but I didn't. I let it go. But here we have a case here. You have intelligence agencies all over the place in Nigeria, everywhere in Africa. The State Department has its facts. It's got its eyes and ears on the ground. How is it that they could not tell President Trump the truth was going on in Nigeria? How? And they gave a false impression, which we'll get into that, because I want someone to say, well, look, you're in Al-Maghrib, in Arabic, Al-Maghrib, in English, Morocco. You live there. And so what do you have to do with Nigeria? Well, you know, we have the Nabi alayhi salam told us something. He said about the Muslims, even if he's in Bosnia, or if he's in Russia, or if he's sitting in Los Angeles or Washington, D.C., Muslim aku Muslim, meaning we are brothers to each other. When we have a situation like this, and plus I have heritage in northern Nigeria, Fulani heritage. Some of the original Fulani heritage, I have my DNA, was found in northern Nigeria. And from there, they went into, you know, you heard my story many times, they went into Guinea, they went into the Gambia, Mali, and then up into Maghreb. So I have a stake in this because this is my brothers. And let me see who's here real fast. Okay, here, my sister. Thank you very much, Linda. Thank you very much today for showing up. And, you know, I don't know if, side note, you guys, just, you know, family business. I sent you some pictures of this old candy that we got when we were little kids. I don't know if I sent it to you or not, that we got from the bakery. I can't remember if I sent it to you. But anyway, I should send it to you. I sent it to our cousin Stephanie, and she laughed about it, but she couldn't remember it either. But anyway, we'll talk at another time. Thanks for showing up, my dear sister. And so we'll get started on this. You know, when we think about this, we got who we got here? Excuse me. Walaikum salam, shukran jazilan. Thank you very much for showing up today, my dear brother. Thank you very much. I really appreciate that. Thank you. When we look at this, when we look at the the synopsis of this. How much of the blame falls on Nigeria itself, the federal government? We have a lot of it that falls on it's on their fault. And Trump, he is not a madman. He's not deranged. He's wicked, yes, but there's madness to his wickedness. And he sees and smells weakness. He knows what's going on really in Nigeria, but he focused on one aspect because there's something going on between him and the president of Nigeria. And so we know the ethnic politics that's going on in Nigeria, especially in the north. We know that a lot of people are being killed, but he never said nothing about, because most of the people who are actually being killed are Muslims. Muslims fighting another Muslim and killing. And he's never said anything about that. He never said he's going to send troops in there to stop that. We had in the northern tier, we had bandits and the Muharaba. We call this under the Sharia law. The Muharaba are those people who are out in the open and they wait for people to go down the highway, or they catch you in the forest and they get you, they steal from you, hurt you and kill you in many instances. And they killed a lot of Fulani leadership, even though themselves may be Fulani. See, none of this was in the mix in that. He talked about the Christians. He didn't talk about what happened when there's a dispute between the herders and a farmer. The farmer's a Christian. This has nothing to do because he is Christian. That's why they fought. They fought because Muhammad, who's a herder, his cattle actually came onto his farmland and ate his crops. So the farmer took retaliation. He went and found Muhammad. He knows this is Muhammad's cattle. So he goes see Muhammad. He see him and his father out there. He goes and shoots Muhammad and his father, kill both. Muhammad's son turns back around at this time and takes revenge, because there's no police action in northern Nigeria in this regard. In many instances, against us, yes. Against the Fulani, yes. Against the Futafula, yes. But not when the Christians do things. So he goes in now and shoots the farmer. According to the West, this is a religious conflict. This is, again, the misguidance and malfeasance in this, because this is not about that. This is not about who is going to the masjid and who's going to the church. This here has to do with water rights and grazing rights and mistakes that happened that's been going on for centuries. Okay, this is what that's about. And it graduates from there. The people in this particular clan of farmers are Christians. So he's got a lot of relatives in different areas. Okay, now this Fulani brother, young man, is hurt. He lost his father. He lost his grandfather. So he in turn gets on the phone and begin to talk to all his relatives. And then others join in. Then they go find this man's relatives and begin to slaughter them. This is what we're talking about, that's happening tremendously in northern Nigeria. So the issue that this has to do with the masjid, this has to do with the synagogue, this has to do with the church, is not the case. These are retaliatory killings and squabbles that's going on. This is not out and out where I wake up, I'm Futafula, I wake up in the morning, I know there's Christians, I live in North, we have Christians over here, I just walk up and just start killing Christians for nothing. That's not going on here. And that's why Trump in this instance is out of line. And we'll get more into this. When we see our brother who's tending his cattle, and he's not doing anything wrong, he's not hurting anybody, he hasn't hurt anybody, and suddenly Christians come along because now they're mad at all of our brothers, our herder brothers. They're mad at them. He had nothing to do with Muhammad, who is maybe 10, 15, 20, 30 kilometers away from him, or he's in the plateau somewhere. He had nothing to do with what happened over there. But the farmers saw our brother here. They know he's Futafula. They know that's his cattle. So they go and kill him and take his cattle, or slaughter his cattle and kill him. This is the saga, brothers and sisters, that's actually happening in the region. Then the Christians arm themselves with machetes and other knives and begin to go after anybody who's Futafula. Women, children, babies, they don't care. They begin to go after our brothers and sisters, and they go after them, and they when they do find them, they slaughter them. And this saga is going on and on and on, brothers and sisters. And this is what we have, and the federal government of Nigeria has not had no answers to this, and have no desire even to solve it. They don't care. The corruption level is so great that, yes, money is funneled into security programs, but by the time it can reach the north, it's already been taken. We have Boko Haram in the northeast. They're Muslims. They're our brothers. They are wayward, yes, big time. They kill more Muslims than they do Christians. And President Trump didn't say he's going to come to defend their honor. This is why this situation it doesn't smell right. So when we look at this, brothers and sisters, we have to ask the question, what's the real motive behind President Trump's wanting to invade Nigeria? What's really behind this? President Trump said that he's going to go after, quote unquote, the Islamic terrorists. Well, I don't know. We know Boko Haram, what they're doing. And we also know we have bandits, we have Muharaba, we have we have mafias, we have all kinds of stuff going on. In the South as well. We got Christian mafias, we got Christians who are involved in drug trafficking. We have Christians who are involved in many different things, who are killing people, and they kill Muslims, Christians alike. We have all of that going on in Nigeria. That's why it's not a simple, clean-cut case, because when you go over here, you have to go back and look at all the other circumstances. And since the federal government has no appetite to solve these things, this is why it's been going on. That's why Nigeria in itself is at fault. Because the federal government has failed its people. It has failed our Muslims in the north. It has failed the Christians to the south. It has not quelled the problems between the herders and the farmers. And I always say this, brothers and sisters. When we have a Fulani, especially a Futafula, a Fula in power, and he doesn't go back in time and look at his predecessors, Usman Den Fodio, Mohammed Bello, and then we start going to the west where we got the Messina, and the Messina had loads, Amadou, Sawadi, one of my favorite of sultans. You have Diallo, Sheikh Diallo, you have Sheikh Yagallo, all of these ancestral brothers who ran the Sharia Allah and was governing large areas, always near to the gate of modern day Nigeria. They solved the problem between the farmers and herders by creating corridors. And it worked beautifully. And you heard me talk the last time about this issue. The cattle, our brother here, he's Christian, say he's Tiv, I'm saying for instance, and he's got an agreement with me. And we have a corridor where I can funnel my cattle in this region where they can graze in water. Our brother who's a Tiv turns around and comes to me and says, hey, Yahya, please, can you bring your cattle onto my land and eat the rest of the crops? Because I got a lot of dead, stuff that needs to be cleared. And because of the strength and the weight of the cattle, they come and till his garden for him, his farm, the areas that he wants farmed. This is how they worked this out in the past. In exchange, the farmer would give dashin, or he would give rice, or he would give something as a payment to me for letting my cattle come to eat the bad crops and some of the crops that are on the ground and some of the grassy weeds and so forth, whatever. But my cattle would eat that, and then they would leave. This is how it worked out. That's gone. I'm angry because the Futafula leadership should be going back to the past when we had all these beautiful sultans, and they know how to govern. They should be going back to the past. And also, President of Nigeria, he's a Muslim. He gave a written statement, and I don't know if any of our esteemed scholars in Nigeria talked about his statement. He quickly put on there that he said about democratic, the country is democratic. I hate to say this, but I have to. He is close again to Ridda and Deen, because he's saying here that the democratic process, he's a Muslim. He's shining on the Sharia law. He's not mentioning Subhanahu wa ta'ala's name. He's not even talking about Subhanahu wa ta'ala, his guidance, which he's given us directions in the Quran and from the Nabi alayhi salam, how we're supposed to govern. And accordingly, Sheikh Taymiyyah, rahimahullah, one of our most famous of all scholars of Islam, he had a point like what we have today, when the Mongols were running roughshod through the region, right? We have Muslim rulers who are doing the same thing as they're doing today. They said they're Muslim, but they didn't rule. They let the Sharia law, and then they begin to have different type of things with disbelievers that is not right. So he issued in his famous book, Mujmu' Fatawi. Yeah, that's it. Big, I forgot how many volumes, 10 books. And I think Bab Iman, I'm trying to remember now which one it is. He said in there talking about these rulers who refused to run the Sharia, and they ran according to what the Mongols told them, or what they compromised. And he used a term and phrase, and he talked about them, and you could hear anger in his words because they let down the Muslims. And then he said something about their governance, and he said, "Inhu kana murtaddan kafiran." This is what he said in this one phrase. He's talking about Muslim rulers who claim democratic ways and means, who swears by democratic ways and means, who swears by the law of the kuffar. And he uses the law of the kuffar to govern his land, Muslims and Christians alike. Ibn Taymiyyah, rahimahullah, he says about him, he says, "Inhu kana murtaddan kafiran." Surely he is a apostated person. He's out and he's a disbeliever. This means in English. This is what he wrote in his fatwa. This is part of it. And he gave his proofs from the Quran and from the Sunnah. So Nigeria is at fault, because since you forget Subhanahu wa ta'ala is forgetting you. That's right. And we have many instances in the Quran talking about this issue, by which Subhanahu wa ta'ala throws his hands from them. How can our beloved Nigeria solve these problems when Subhanahu wa ta'ala's name is not even mentioned? His name is not even mentioned. I'm talking about the federal government. I'm not talking about our esteemed scholars and our Muslim brothers and sisters. I'm talking about the government itself. Because if they seek the aid and the wisdom from Subhanahu wa Ta'ala, they were solving these problems. But since they using democratic ways and means, that Subhanahu wa Ta'ala walks away from that. That's the governance of the kafir. So how are we going to get blessed? And I cringe when I see the Muslim leaders do that. They run up there and start to talk about how we're running democratic ways and means. We're doing this democratically. What about Subhanahu wa Ta'ala? We have remedies in the Sharia. We have remedies in the Sharia for this. The Christians under our tutelage, under the tutelage of the Sultan or the Amir Muslimin or whatever what he uses, Christians are given fair shake under the Sharia law. If it's run properly, that means they can have their own churches. They can even have their own courts and everything else. When there's a dispute there, they can't solve, then they come to the Muslim ruler, and the Muslim ruler then, the Qadi, then makes a decision accordingly. But the Christians have their rights to do their worship as they please. They're not asked to join the military. They're not asked to join the police, even though they can have their own police forces. Hold fast, brothers and sisters. I'll get to your comments in a minute. I'm trying to make this point. So this is, again, brothers and sisters, we look back. If we go back to the Messina, and that's a little later, we can go back to, how about Omar Tal? If he was alive, what do you think he would do if he was walking in the office, in these beautiful offices and so forth of our esteemed president of today and in the past? What do you think Omar Tal, rahimahullah, what do you think he would have said when he would have read his statement talking about the Kafir's law? He's going to use the Kafir's law, and this is what we're governing by. I just wonder what he would say. I believe he would take out his safe, and whoever is in, he would ask them why they're doing this. Because our brothers meant business in those days. There was no such thing as using the Kafir's law. They fought the Kafir. And matter of fact, if you look at everything across that Sahel region, we were the last ones to fight. It took the colonial powers till the early 1900s when they finally defeated all of us. And they wouldn't have done that if Hapapula, our brothers and our brothers from the Messina, if they didn't have a fight. And 30,000 and the French and the British, namely the French, were waiting in the wings. They watched while the Muslims killed each other over a dispute about somebody was being held against their will. And 30,000 Muslims fought. And they both, after that fight, they were weakened, and the French walked in and slapped everybody around, and it was over. All that governance, all those hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years is gone. So I'm trying to make a point to this, brothers and sisters, and and we have to look at this. And walaikum salam. Okay, my dear brother. I mean, yeah, we talked with you already. My sister said, even if it's true to hold Trump, he still must make up something negative. Yes, he must. But I'm gonna tell you something, my sister. He may talk this. He may send in some special forces to do some dirty work, but who is he going to kill? And he has to look at the Russians, because the Russians, they did it for different reasons. They didn't say they came into Mali or Burkina Faso because of the Christians. They're doing it for money. They're mercenaries. And yet still, when they came into the Western corridor, they got their butts kicked. See? So Trump knows that. So by sending Trump things, I'll get into my notes, we'll talk about this, by sending his people into Nigeria, what do you think that's going to happen? We have to look at that. And our dear brother, put Jamali there. Yes, okay, my dear brother. Thank you very much on that. Now, let's get to my notes. If Trump decided to send the Delta Force or special forces into Nigeria, I don't know who he's going to go to attack and kill. But let me tell you what's going to happen, because our brothers and sisters in Nigeria are no joke. Christians and Muslims alike, and others. Both love their country. Both are Nigerian. Both have ancestral rights to the land. They may be at odds right now. But if Trump sends his people in there, what I suspect is going to happen here, brothers and sisters, is this. You see that AK-47? Huh? You see that? You see those fires? It's going to create a firestorm through that country where they will get together, in my estimation, to fight the Americans. And this may trigger a regional wide war where now Western powers be attacked. This is why the French and others are not welcoming this. Okay? So you look at this and think about what I'm talking about here, brothers and sisters. He sends his troops in there. Where does he go? And who is he going to kill? Is he going to send his troops to Kaduna, where we got, that's a Fulani, strong base. A lot of this region here is full of Fulani strongholds. Over to the east, to your right, is the Kanuri, where we got Boko Haram. Now he goes into there, how is he going to chase them down? Boko Haram is not sitting there like some fools. They may be doing wicked things, but they're not stupid. And they have backing. And they have people who are behind the doors assisting them. Of course, we're not defending them. I'm not talking about that, but I'm just talking about this distance. So who is he going to attack? And so we'll have firestorms all through our beloved Nigeria. And it will cause, I believe, because the Sahel is a war zone. You heard me talk about this for the last 2 years. The Sahel is a war zone. It is a cool belt as well, where your government can be overthrown at any time by any means. And it's a place also where the wicked Tubab, I'm making the distinction here. We're not talking about every single Tubab. We're talking about the wicked Tubab who are involved in things like overthrowing governments. They're in the mix. And I'm going to tell you, Nigeria is a big country. And Trump thinks that the Nigerians are going to sit there and let this happen. He's got nothing. I don't know what he's going to do. And we already have an active jihad to the north. And if that active jihad is mobilized, the other Mujahideen groups who are sitting to the west of them may join into the fray. How about the innocent Americans who are there now? We have brothers who don't, we have Christians and we have Muslims. Both don't even have nothing to do with their tenets. If the troops come in and begin to kill at random, they'll start to find innocent Americans, begin to kill them. It would be a mess when Trump would start. It would be a total mess. But I got to bring up a point, brothers and sisters. See, I had to bring this point up. Nigeria is not this is not the area we call it. We still have the habit of taking the names that the Tubab has created for us. When he called us the N-word, we adapted it. When he called us Negro, we adapted that. We kept it. He called us colored, he adapted that. When he said, you are a Nigerian, we took it. And he's always given us names. That's why he gets upset when he see, especially in the West, the African Americans in particular, like myself, who decided they don't want their names anymore. And they changed their names back to their ancestral names. They don't like it. And this is a true fact. And we have to look at this. I don't even have to read this. You can read this here and you can do your research. And it's a shame when you really step and think about it, brothers and sisters. And I had to talk about this because this is the genesis of the problem. So now you have that. You have that backdrop. You see what's going on. And now as I look over the notes, anytime you're talking about Africa in general, but especially the Sahel, as you heard me say for 2 years now, you have to have a playbook to understand the region. And if you don't have that playbook, you're going to make wrong assessments. Trump has the playbook, but he may not quite understand the playbook, and he's smart in his wickedness. He knows damn well what's going on there. But he's using this as a pretext, and I think he's baiting the president of Nigeria to see how he's going to react. And he sent him a letter already, which in some instances, some of our Mujahideen groups would say the president made Ridda and Deen, in Arabic meaning the apostasy away from, from Islam. This is what that means in Arabic. In English language. Many hardline scholars, many other intellectuals in Islam who are trying to get to clean up the rulership among Muslims will see a letter such as this, where Subhanahu wa Ta'ala's name's not even mentioned. And he's a Muslim ruler. He's got the guy he doesn't have to even go back to his ancestral fathers. He could go back to the Sunnah of the Nabi alayhi salam. When you address a kafir like Trump, and you write a letter, you're supposed to write it Islamically. When you remember Subhanahu wa Ta'ala's name and the name of his prophet, alayhi salam, the wisdom comes, bi'ithnillah. You hear me say every time the same thing, salamu ala madi tabahuda. Anytime I'm addressing people who are non-Muslims in a letter of some sort, I prefer to go, people say, oh man, this is modern times. I don't want to hear that. Subhanahu wa Ta'ala said, I perfected this religion, and this is in Surah 5, Ma'idah, verse 3, he said, I perfected religion today. Our beloved prophet, said about issues like this, he gave us guidance. And he gave us guidance in written letters. How are we supposed to do that? See, so I say this for a reason, because I'm trying to say Nigeria, the federal government itself, is a lot of cause of this problem, brothers and sisters. When the colonial powers took over, they created a ethnic strife. Colonial powers won the first round, meaning they finally colonized. We look at West Africa. We're not talking about everywhere else. They won the first round. They came in and they killed. They had Africans fighting. Africans came to you, fighting came to you. And then when the Muslims who were left to offend, they were fighting against the Juju and the Orissa and all the others who gained up with the Tubab against them. And the Tubab, after he won, he punished them and he enslaved many. Okay, not slave, but he still punished them. But what the colonial powers did is they rewarded many of these Ka'inin, what we call the traitors in Arabic language. And they awarded them and made them prime ministers and their families to rule over us. So their descendants who were Kainin, who are traitors, okay, betrayers of the faith, are running many things today. See, and that's why we have a lot of these problems. And so they won the first time around. Now America comes into Nigeria looking for round two, figure we're going to come in and then we will quasi colonize the place. They don't have a stomach for this type of fight. Because this will be a vicious ground war. They can bomb everywhere. But the Nigerian army, the Nigerian police, and you have others, it will be a bloody battle. The American government, the American people won't stand for it. Especially when they know the truth. They'll ask why I'm sending my son over to Nigeria to fight. They're not going to like it. The Futafula sultanates and emirates throughout the region were weakened by the time of the colonial takeover. This is important, brothers and sisters, because if we didn't, we probably wouldn't be having this conversation today. We would still be running things. And so why I say this, the Futafula community is my community. Why they should defend Nigeria vigorously. Because it's a land that our ancestral brothers and sisters lived on, and they fought, and they enriched the land. Nobody can say any different. I talked about this the other day about the accomplishments of the Futafula. And so that is a great issue. With the external threat coming from the last superpower, which is the Americans, all bickering clans inside Nigeria now should focus on the external threat. They should focus as a unit, Muslims and non-Muslims, okay, Christians and Juju, Orissa, especially Orissa's in this region, and everybody get together and talk and come up with the idea if in case Trump decides to send a clandestine force to come into Nigeria. They should get together to talk about this. Listen to me carefully when I say this, brothers and sisters. President Trump is no fool. He's not a fool. Don't underestimate a man like this. Our greatest general, Khalid Saif Allah, talked about the when you're going to face the enemy. He talked about you don't turn your back towards them, you don't flee from them, and you study your enemy and you learn about your enemy, and you don't fight him until you know him like the back of your hand. This is the advice that our greatest Muslim general was talking about. We must understand Trump and his madness. We should understand his greed for power. He's talking about now even creating a third term, which is unheard of. It's unconstitutional. But because the American people are asleep now, and subhanahu wa ta'ala, it seems like he's blowing smoke, making people so confused because a lot of people don't care because they're trying to find jobs. And a lot of people have jobs, but they've already lost their home. And they're trying to find out how they're going to feed their families. So they have a lot of internal stuff going on inside the United States. You have to understand Trump. And there's a reason to his madness. Don't lose respect of this man's wickedness and his power, and learn who he is. And what else about this. Just like we're going to have a sultan before the Mahdi come. I told you about this man. I believe he's going to come from Al-Maghrib. And he's going to be not like any of the rulers we have today where they're talking about democratic. There ain't nothing democratic about this man. It's going to be the Sharia, and it's going to be the Quran or the Safe. And he's going to have an untouchable army. But on the other side of this, in the lands of the disbelievers, you have the precursor to the Dajjal, which is President Trump. And it's going to be a line of people, I think, follow him, who's going to be just as wicked or more wicked than him. So we have to look at that. And the colonial powers, one of their greatest weapons is creating what is happening in Nigeria today. The strife that's going on, ethnic strife. That's one of their greatest things that they do in order to keep us fighting each other so they can rule over all of us. This is what they call indirect rule, where we fight it out, we kill one another. He sits back in order there. He's ordered Fulani to go kill the Tiv and kill the Yoruba. And then he orders the Yoruba to come and kill the Fulani and the Hausa and the Kunuri. He sits back here. When we're killing one another, we're so weak. We just like what happened to Hapular and the Messina. Now we're so weak, he comes in and then governs all of us. This is how they colonized us. They had us fight and kill one another, and that's how they beat us. But the second round to this of colonization is not going to happen because we're too close now to the sultanic. I mean the sultan coming, and we're too close for that. So it's not going to happen. This is a threat, and it's a threat that should be considered, should be really considered. And my Fulani brothers and sisters who are there, you should be ready and willing to defend your homeland because your ancestors demand this of you to do this. If you are now a modern quote unquote Muslim, don't die in this state. If something happens where there's an invasion and you die smoking cigarettes and drinking. You're not really true. You Fulani, yes, by default in bloodline, but you're not even acting as a Muslim anymore. Don't die in this state. This is time now for everybody in Nigeria and even Africa in particular to start to wake up. Especially my brothers in Nigeria, because you have a direct threat. So even though the effort strike has gone unchecked for decades, it is still a Nigerian problem. Brother, sister, I don't care what's going on there. Okay? It's a Nigerian problem. It's a problem that is an African problem, and it's an AU problem. It's not an American problem because why? There's not one insurgent group. There's not one mafia. There's not one kidnapping group or Muharaba group has threatened Trump and threatened American people. None. None has said they're going to send bombers into the United States to kill some innocent Americans. No, none of that. They're concentrating only in this region. So what's happening inside Nigeria is part of Nigeria. It's their responsibility to quell that. It's not the responsibility for the Americans to send their troops to come in and start killing at random and killing at will. That's not this because it has nothing to do with their security. Unless there's a hidden motive, which I believe there is. Some said it's oil. It's not oil. There's something else. And I don't know what that is. And so, and then, brothers and sisters, Trump's assertion that the Christians are being killed is misguided. He realized this. He knows what's going on. And we have to get together. We have to get the separation for let me say this. The Futafula leadership in the North, it's time now, maybe, I hate to say this, brothers and sisters, I hate to say this, but I think it's time that you start to look at a autonomous state to the North, because the North is Muslim, and the federal government has not done anything to uplift the North. In the North, we still have people living in huts like they did in the 1800s. All this wealth we have in Nigeria, and we have people still don't even have running water. The North has been neglected. It's time maybe now, because of this situation here, to move and break away. Either being a semi-autonomous, would still have your connections with them, of course, but maybe it's time now to look at that. Because the federal government is getting you in trouble. And the federal government has no means to solve any of the problems in Nigeria. It is too corrupted. And let's face it, with as much oil that we have in Nigeria, everybody should be living very well. And you remember what Gaddafi did. Gaddafi had all this oil money. He bought homes for everybody. And he began to spread wealth. He had free education for everybody. Hospitals were free. Education was free. We have that kind of money in Nigeria but because the money has been siphoned off, we have severe problems. And Subhanahu wa ta'ala, in my estimation, is not happy. So, brothers and sisters, we look at this issue here, and I know this is a work day for everybody, and spur of the moment and whatnot. I know many notifications not coming out, but I think I had to talk about this issue to get it out, because many people may not understand what's going on, and I'm going to give you my take on the issue, and I gave you my synopsis of the issue. The Nigerian federal government is responsible for this because of their lack of fortitude and in stopping the corruption and getting people to bring them together. But you got to remember something. They've had a security agreement with the Americans. The Americans are now, look, the federal government of Nigeria is going by the orders what the Americans have ordered them to do. Since they ordered the government to go wicked, to go rogue on its people, now the people there's fires everywhere. Okay, there's fires everywhere in Nigeria. Under the Americans' leadership, they told them what to do to the North. And we have insurgencies everywhere in the North. To the east, we have the Kanuri, the Boko Haram. Now we even have a new Fulani group who's tied into the Messina, now who's been declared by the federal government of Nigeria to be a terrorist group. So we have all of this stuff that's happening in Nigeria. And our president and his assembly cannot find answers. And the Americans have orchestrated this. And now they're coming back after they have created this mess. Now they're stepping away from the mess that they created by telling the Nigerians, we're going to invade you because you didn't do this. It's your policies that you ordered the federal government for years, okay? For years, okay? Decades. This is what you do. And this has caused the problems we have in the North. We got insurgencies. And then we have ethnic strikes that have not been quelled. And so this issue here, brothers and sisters, is big. So now how we look at this and what we do is going to precipitate what Trump is going to do. I don't believe Trump is going to send anybody there, but he could send a clandestine. They may be already there because we have American troops already in Nigeria. And we have asked the question, our African leaders have not got the message yet. And they won't. Especially when I saw that letter from the president, our brother, our Muslim brother, he's a Muslim, and he wrote that letter to Trump. It kind of hurt me in a way, because when you see something like this, it bothers you, because the democratic process is not African, and it's not working. And you're Muslim, and there's a reason for that, because Subhanahu wa Ta'ala explained why this governance don't work. And you look at Nigeria, it's in a mess. And nobody seems to have answers. But I also believe with the right leadership, they could solve this. And I believe a good Muslim who introduces the Sharia to all the people in increments, not 100% Sharia right away. Give 30% and get in within 3 years. And then, you gradually get people. And when the Christians, they see that their lives are protected and they don't have to serve the military. And so they have to pay taxes, because that would be part of it. But they don't have to be, and they're protected under the law. They worship as they want to worship. They have their own schools if they want. If they have their churches, and they go to the church, and they even have their own court system. But it has to still fall under the Sharia. What I mean is, there's not stealing is not allowed, all that type of thing like this. But they will see how it run. The farmers and the herders would be quelled. That situation would be under wraps because of the Sharia law, and Nigeria would then be able to prosper. All the oil revenues would be like Gaddafi did. It would be then disseminated, meaning the whole country benefits from the oil. We don't have the Biafra problem to the south. We don't have the problem to the north with the Muslims. And we don't have the raging ethnic strife and so forth and so on, and killings. We wouldn't have that. But if we did, I'm not saying it's going to be perfect. That's not what I meant to say. But you would have governance. And what I also believe, Subhanahu wa Ta'ala, let us, the Futafula community, let us be Muslims first. He gave us more scholars than any other group. We had many different Islamic sultanates and emirates all through, from 711 to finally the defeat in 1900. It is befitting, the way I see it, because of the scholarship, of Islamic scholarship, but the Futafula took over. Not meaning this in a bad way, but if you because of the Islamic prowess of the Futafula, they could help bring Nigeria back into the fold of Islam, give protection to Christians and others, harness all the wealth, and then disseminate to the people. And this country would be something to behold. And Americans, of course, along with these Western allies, are not going to want to see it happen, because they like to see the way Nigeria is today. They want to see that continue, and that's why, in one way, I don't see that happening. It's just not going to happen for them to come to raid it. It's just not going to happen, brothers and sisters. It's not going to happen. So I'm almost near the end here. I wanted to talk about this issue. I got some issues that I'm going to be talking about in some days to come, BFD. And I wanted to give shout out here to my brothers and sisters in Nigeria, because this is a serious issue. And we know that the Americans have an appetite to kill black folk. All we have to do is look in the United States. They've been doing, they are skilled at it now. They have 400 years of practice of killing black folk. So, to come into Ifriqiya to kill is easy for them. And they already have a blueprint to overthrow governments. So they're already in the driver's seat. And now it's our response on how we're going to do it. How do we respond to this? We don't respond by writing a letter talking about democratic ways and means. When we write a letter forceful telling him it's not his damn business. And here's the other thing, because the Americans pumped in millions in aid, and I have to ask the question, why would Nigeria need that money when they have oil reserves that would make everybody solvent in the country like Gaddafi did? It goes to show you that the oil revenue is not reaching the people. See, some said that Trump wants to take over the oil from Nigeria. But I don't think it's that. I think it's something else, brothers and sisters. I don't know what it is. But it's a shame that we have this situation. And I lay 90% of the blame on the Nigerians, on the government, on the government itself. The federal government is the cause of why Trump is doing that. Because on one hand, the Americans have told him what to do. He did it. And when he did it, he caused the problems. Okay? He caused problems through the land. And because he took the orders from the Americans, and not only the president today, the previous president and the others behind, we have this today in Nigeria. We have smoldering fires everywhere under the American security agreement. This is why it's laughable when Trump talks about this. It's your agencies, intelligence agencies, and the embassy, State Department, who funneled the orders to the leaders who are essentially, basically turncoats. And he orders them to go after people and orders them to do things against certain groups. And now you have fires everywhere in Nigeria under the Americans' orders, who ordered the federal government to do certain things. And those things caused the insurgency to the north. And now he's coming back and saying, I have to go in there because the federal government of Nigeria is not doing nothing to stop the killings of the Christians. Well, it was your policy that caused this. So, brothers and sisters, we have to say it as it is. And I still put the fault on Nigeria, because since you had agreement with the devil is not going to give you good things to do. He's going to give you orders to do things wrong. This is happening everywhere. Because his aim is not to see us solve it. He wants to see us have these fires, little conflicts, ethnic strife everywhere. He sees this. He wants that. That's why Trump, when he said that, I said, wait a minute, President Trump, it's your government's policy that caused this already. So now you're coming back after the federal government who they were following your orders what to do. And they did it. They caused the fires that you see up to the north in particular. And now Trump is going to come back and say, well, look what they're doing. It's been the Americans' orders. The Americans ordered things to be done, and it's caused these fires that you see on this map. And it caused the rise of the AK-47. And unfortunately, the Muslims to the north, if they got together, and I believe this is time now. It's time now for all of those in the north to reconsider their positioning there. The federal government is not doing nothing for you even to this day. It's time for you, I think, to break off. And maybe have a semi-autonomous state at the beginning. I don't know. But you have to have separation, because the Muslim is Muslim to the north. And the Muslims, if we have the right people, we can bring our Kanuri brothers to the table. We can bring the Muharraba. We can bring the bandits and kidnappers to the table. But we can't quell these fires as long as there are two Bobs standing there barking out orders, the Americans, and we have turncoat, Nigerians who are taking orders from the Americans and then going in causing this strife. And we know that it's happening because we know what happened 2 years ago now when the Congress was taken to task. They took to task the military on theirs causing these type of strifes through West Africa in particular. And they admitted that they were in the business for regime change, coups, to create coups. How do you create a coup? You start to get ethnic rivalries going. And when it says they couldn't stop it, the fires grew everywhere, like you see on this map. And now you have flames going everywhere. We got our Kanuri brothers over here to the northeast, over to your right here. And they're running roughshod all the way in here, even into Niger. You got the Fulani herdsmen. And now you got another group. They're going after everybody who killed Fulani. They go after and kill them. Then you have the Christian militias too. And you have the ESN who killed Muslims, especially the Fulani, on sight at one time. They said that they corralled them in, but I got reservations about that, but that's another subject in itself. So you have the ESN. The ESN come to a region and they find innocent Fulani and they kill them. The Fulani then, their kinfolk come back to go after the ESN, and then they find their families or they find people affiliated with them and they kill them. This is what goes on. And this is a shame, brothers and sisters. Really a shame. Let's see what we got some comments here. Thank you, my dear sister. Thank you very much for showing up. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for the kind words. Thank you. And yes, no, it's no problem. I know notifications are not going very well on my programs, and it's quite okay. You're here, and I appreciate that. I just thank you very much. And brothers and sisters, you look at this now and you see this, and you think about my logic here about this and whatnot. The Fulani, you have a main stake here. This is a direct threat to you, because if you do nothing and something happens, and the Americans are already there. They've already caused the fires that you see there. Now, if they have full reign, they will then arm and train and also sanction the enemies of the Futafula to go and to drive you out. This is why you got to fight vigorously, but you don't fight necessarily with the AK-47 until we're invaded. But you fight other ways by letting our scholarship, which we try, like Sheikh Gumi and others, to bring all our wayward brothers to the north to the table. Now it's time to hell with the federal government. They're not going to do anything. They're the cause of the fires because they're taking orders from the Tuba. It's now time to bring our brothers here to the north to the table and be ready for an invasion. That means our groups who are killing and robbing, they have to stop for the betterment of everybody. Because if you don't stop, see, what's going to happen is you'll get eliminated, but your brothers and sisters are going to suffer. So it's important that to the north in particular, we get together and solve this problem. We got to, brothers and sisters. We have to do this. We have to do this. Enough is enough. It's time, I believe, for northern Nigeria maybe to break away. And we have to break away in such a way that I don't know any other way of doing it, because we cannot solve the problems with the federal government, because the federal government is not free. The Americans are running it. And they don't have any answer. And then when our scholarship tries to go and bring people together, they call it terrorism, and they discourage them from doing it. So since we are dealing with angry individuals, they go and kill. And this is what we got today. And this is a very sad epitaph. So, brothers and sisters, you know, when we see this, and you got to remember something. I don't care what anybody says. When you have a band of non-Muslims, ethnic groups who are coming in your region with machetes and other knives to come to take you out, you got to look at this because it's a serious business. And you got to look at all this strife, how it was generated. And if you look at it, when you clear away the smoke, you see a tuba behind it. Which he's been doing this for many centuries now. Our Fulani brothers who are innocent, I have to say this to you in the North. I think everybody at this point should be armed. Because since there's no protection, you got to protect your family and your livelihood and our way of life. You got to protect your cattle. You got to protect your family and other Fulani people. It's almost now we need our own militias, which we do have, where they protect communities, because the federal government cannot do it and they want to do it. The money that was funneled to bring security was taken before it can do any good and bring more policemen and so forth and so on. At this point now, the Fulani, the Futafula, in many regions, we need our own police force, and that way we can quell this. To the east, the Kanuri run their show, and then maybe perhaps we can bring our brothers to the table of the Boko Haram. It's not only one, it's a couple of factions and whatnot. But I still say the genesis of this is this. This is the problem here, brothers and sisters. This is the genesis of it. Because that name has nothing to do with you, really. And this here goes to show you that it has nothing to do with you. It's made up by others who are enemies to you. And it's them who many times gave us the names that we're supposed to go by. See? And this is part of the genesis of the problem, since we are only going by what they tell us. So, I mean, Russ, you know, I mean, this may be harsh, but it's not. I'm just giving you the facts to the case. And I believe that when you look at this, you understand my reasoning behind this. And the Futafula must prepare itself to defend Nigeria vigorously. And defending it, you defend the north. Yes, we got Fulani to the south, they're Futotoro and so forth and so on. Now we got over to the east, I know. We got herders in the east. But you must secure the north. My Fulani brothers and those who hear this in the future, get the north, solve these fires that are happening, raging there now. Get the north shored up in case Trump decides to hit it. Get yourself prepared. And then look to, I hate to say, the statehood. And we have a Muslim state to the north anyway. So why don't we make it official? The federal government looks at us as a bastard child. We still got people living in huts like it was the 1800s. No running water and so forth and so on. We have a lot of stuff that's going on, and I think it's time for us to look to have our own state, our Muslim state, Islamic state. We have Islamic governance, we have our own leadership and whatnot. It's time for that. Because I don't know any other answer to this. See, I just don't know. And we have the scholarship to the north which I believe can run a beautiful government under the Sharia law. I believe that. I really firmly believe that. So, brothers and sisters, you tell me what you think of this, and you guys send me, your questions or your comments. All comments are welcome, of course, respectfully. And if you have a position, you back up your position. There's no problem with that with me. But I don't get the crude comments anymore. Now and then I would get one, but I don't get that anymore, and haven't to be left for that. But you can state your question and so forth and so on. And please subscribe and hit the like button as well, brothers and sisters, because this is, we should support our Fulani brothers and sisters, should support our Fulani historians and scholars. And we must do that. We must support one another and whatnot. I should be having many subscribers and so forth and so on. But I know how things go, and I know how it is. Especially when I get many of my brothers tell me they thought I had left because they never got anything anymore. And then they go to pull up my name and they find 7, 8. One of them said he lost 10 videos. He was never notified. None of the time. So there he had to catch up on 10 videos because he's never getting any notification. I've complained vigorously to YouTube about this, and they haven't stopped that, and I don't think they will. So please subscribe, my brothers and sisters, and hit the like button and whatnot. And my brothers in Nigeria, please, you guys get yourself together there, prepare yourself. Now it's time. You've been laying down, sleepy. You had other people rule and dictate to you. Those orders has caused the problems that you see today. And I embrace myself, prepare myself. And Fulani, you guys call for a meeting of all of our groups, our Fulani groups to the north. It's time now, under the leadership of our scholarship, our scholars. They get together, bring the people together who are in regions. The Fulani, I'm talking about in particular, you bring them together, and you guys get together on all the clans there. Get together, and then includes the bandits and all, and have the bandits, Muharaba, the kidnappers, to quell what they're doing in order to keep the integrity of their land. Because if they don't, and you weaken our brothers in the north with all your raids and killings of innocent people, when the Americans come to take over, they're not going to do anything with you. They may hunt you down and eliminate you. So you got to be very careful of that. But it's time now, brothers and sisters, to the north. And our Fulani brothers and sisters, you should call for a meeting and have all of the clans, everybody get together. And then from this point, then you go to the others. You go to the Tiv, you go to the Hausa, you go to our Kanuri brothers, and so forth and so on, and bring them and prepare yourself just in case this man, because it's time now. You should wake up now, because if there's an invasion, the Americans are not going to come here to shake your hand. They're there to kill. And you know how they feel about black folk. You know what they've done 400 years to African Americans in America. You know what they feel about black folk. So, don't take any pity thinking that you're going to be on their favorite list or something like that. No. President Trump has got some reason he's got behind this under his sleeve that he's got this causing this. Because it's the American government has caused the problems that we see today. The American government has caused all the flames and all of the AK-47. It's them who's caused this. The federal government only listened to them and followed their instructions. And now after the instructions, now you have fires everywhere. The Americans come back to blame the federal government of Nigeria for the fires that they helped to create. It's not funny, but this is what essentially is happening. It's under their leadership we have this situation now. It's really, 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 really a shame. It's really a shame, brothers and sisters. So I think I'm about ready to close here. It's late here. And please subscribe, brothers and sisters, to my station. I'm going to talk about another topic. It may not be interest to you, but it should. This thing that's going on with the three-eye atlas, you guys should keep breast upon this, and you heard me say this for the last couple of weeks. Our ancestors were right. But he talked about these things. I'm going to discuss more deeply of this issue about the interstellar space. Inshallah ta'ala. You should be interested because this is a spacecraft. This is not a comet. And this coincides with what our ancestors have said about it. I'll give you some information about this that should really get you to think. It may even blow your mind. It's very, very interesting that our ancestors had contact, and I won't talk much about this anymore. But you remember when I gave my class, I talked about what happened, and how they took all our monuments and totems and so forth and so on. Many of those totems and so forth like that they had information there leading to about the interstellar space and about their contacts with, especially those of, I'm trying to look for this thing, but I can't find it. I don't see it. No, I don't see it here now. I thought it was here, but it's wrong. So I want to talk about that issue because it's important. We have a situation now in real time, in modern times now, with a alien spacecraft, is no doubt. A comet cannot send a signal. This thing sends signals across into the United States and onto the other side of the moon, which is very interesting too. This is not a comet or asteroid. This is a spaceship. And it has some intelligence in it. And I talked about this already. Even before now, they got to this point, I had told you even a month before or longer that this is not a comet, this is a spacecraft. And I used things that our ancestors said about issues like this. And now we have other information too about this spacecraft that they must have encountered themselves because they wrote about it. Very, very, very interesting. I'll get into BFA Lab. So inshallah ta'ala. So my brothers and sisters, please subscribe, spread the tape. And please, my brothers and sisters in Nigeria, prepare yourself. It's time now to look. You got to wake up. You've been sleeping. And to the north, it's time for you to wake up. And our Fulani brothers, you guys get the clans together. All this, the Futafula and the Futafula, and you get together now, and to protect your homelands. You got to do that, brothers and sisters. It's time now to bring everybody together and prepare yourself to fight against the disbelievers, because that's what it is. They're going to send disbelievers in to fight you. So you got to be very, very worried about that, and you should prepare yourself for it. Do I think Trump would do it? No. But I believe Trump is going to send special forces and Delta forces and other types of special units there, small contingencies where they can blend into the people and then they can do their dirty work. So this is what I believe, and it's coming. And again, brothers and sisters, this issue here is one of the things that is the genesis of the problem in the beginning. You have, again, Tubab given the names for us. And they named it. This here is a damning epithet against us. And we always allow them to dictate what we should be called. And this is what has happened. And when I saw this piece, I forgot all about it, but I wanted to show this to you. And you look at this, and now you can kind of get an understanding and what has happened to how we got Nigeria. It's very, very interesting, and there's more to that, but I won't get into that anymore. So, brothers and sisters, I'm going to leave, and thanks for all those who showed up today. I really, Anjarama, thank you very much, Mayate, and I thank you very much for showing up. please follow my channel, brothers, sisters, and and whatnot, and don't be because it doesn't cost you anything, and you guys subscribe and whatnot, and I try to give different type of content that's different than you see otherwise and so forth. And I'm hoping that you find time to support your elder and you like and subscribe. I really appreciate that if you do, because you should support your elders, especially your elder scholars and historians, because we're losing that as Fulani people. For the Futafula community, we're generally ignorant about our history and so forth and so on. And so you should support us who are trying to bring you back into the fold and to bring back pride and bring back education. So when people come after you to claim that we're all no good, you'll have information to help you to fight them. So that's important. Okay, brothers, sisters, I must let you go now. And until the next time, please be careful out there. Please be careful. Anjarama, Assalamu alaikum, rahmatullah barakatuh.